Even though Flynn is a guy, I'm still going to wear a little bit of BB cream, and I'm just going to put them along basically the highlights of my face and then blend everything out. I'm mainly going to put a little bit of BB cream just on the corner of my eyes because I tend to get quite a bit of redness there. The rest I'm just going to blend into my skin, and I'm not going to put a lot, I want very light coverage. I am going to be using concealer a little bit as a highlighter for this as well, and not a highlight in a shimmery kind of way because I need to change the structure of my face. For the moment it's a little bit too much like a girl's, so I'm going to try and square everything out. So you want to draw a line straight out along your cheekbones, and then we're going to bring it down a little bit, pointing towards the corners of your mouth. So you've got to think like you're trying to do two T's on your face, and then you're going to blend them out with a blending brush. Next thing we're going to do is contour, and there's two different things we're going to work on for this. We're going to work around the jaw, and instead of just keeping it just on the jaw, I'm going to line along the jaw but bring the colour up a little bit. This will also help with the effect once I do the beard later on. Or when it comes to contouring just underneath the cheekbones, we're going to change the shape a little bit. Instead of pointing the contour down towards the corner of my lips, I'm instead going to run it in a bit of a slanted T shape. So it's going to go out a little and then down, and this is going to kind of masculinize my face a little bit, and I want to blend everything out really well. I'm going to be using 3 different cream eyeshadows for this. I'm going to start off with a grey for the beard. I'm going to take a stippling sponge and I'm going to start off very lightly all the way along my jawline, and we've got to bring that all the way up to the hairline just at the top of the ear, and apply this lightly and add it on very slowly because especially with this product it's very pigmented, so the last thing you want to do is wipe everything off and start all over again. So just add things bit by bit. Once you get to the centre of your chin, you want to bring that up a little bit towards your lower lip, and then we're going to do exactly the same on the other side of your face because otherwise that would look a bit weird. One of the big differences in faces between men and women is that women's eyebrows in general tend to be a little bit higher. So in order to cheat a little bit, I'm going to make my eyebrows thicker. They also need to be thicker, but I'm going to make them quite a bit thicker on the top part just so that my forehead doesn't look quite so large. And I'm going to be mixing a black and a brown cream eyeshadow. I'm going to try and steer a little bit towards the black cream eyeshadow, but not too much, otherwise they can look painted on. So I want to get that nice balance between the two. And then I'm going to be using a really fine brush to draw the hairs in, and I'm going to do this very slowly. We don't want thick lines, these have to look like actual hairs. To stick down the hair, I'm going to be using Prozaid. I won't be using Spirit Gum, I'm not terribly fond of Spirit Gum, but to stick it onto the face, it's very simple. You want to put it between your fingers, you want to fluff it up so that it's a little bit sparse and not all clumped together, and then just press it against the glue. And it should stick. Now it is going to take practice. The first few times you're going to want to pull your hair out, quite literally, and then after a while it's just going to sink in. It's all about trying to get the hair fluffed up enough and then press it against the skin so that it sticks correctly, and after a few tries you get the hang of it. If once you've trimmed everything you notice you've missed a spot, don't worry about it, just get the Prozaid again, dab it onto the skin and then repress the hair. And the only real downside to this method is that once you've used this hair you can't really use it again, and there is a lot that gets wasted, so at some point I would like to learn how to ventilate beards, but for the moment this is how I know to do it. And it's not as hard as it looks, it just takes a little bit of practice and then it's quite easy. Over that I'm going to take the same stippling sponge and just put a bit more grey around the edges so that there's a little bit more of a gradient. Before we finish off, we're going to do a little bit more contouring. I'm going to be using some greys and then a grey-brown shade. We're going to change the shape of the eyes just a little bit because for the moment they still look a little bit too girly. So what we want to do is right at the centre part of the eye, between the inner corner of the eye and the inner corner of the brow, we're going to shade that. We're also going to go around the crease, bring a colour a little bit underneath the lower lid so it looks like you've got the tiniest trace of dark circles. And then that colour we're also going to bring down along the sides of the nose bridge and then blend that out with our fingers.
Castle walls, and cheap
With the exact same colour that I used for the eye, I'm also going to bring this just underneath my cheekbones and recontour that area a little bit more, but I'll be using a smaller brush so that I can be a lot heavier with the colour I use. Then it also means I have more control over how much I want to blend it as well. One of the last things I'm going to do is take a little bit of concealer and I'm just going to put it at the inner corner of the eye, but I'm not going to blend this all the way up to the lashes. You want to squint a little bit and you don't want to pass the squint line any higher than that, and it's going to make your eyes look a little bit more feminine. I'm going to cover up whatever spots I might have missed the first time round, and then using the same colour that I used to contour, we're going to put a little bit of blush, but it's going to be as close to the eyes as possible. And then with whatever's left on my concealer brush, I'm just going to get his nose right and put a little bit of a highlighter on that just to change the shape a little bit. And now you just need to practice your smolder.